I go to Australia on Monday.
When? When? Parvat go to Australia?
Yeah. Adelaide?
You just did went to Australia, or you will
No,
go to Australia?
I'm going on Monday.
I see. Okay. All right. Which part of Australia, Pak Robert?
South Australia, Adelaide.
Oh,
We have,
Adelaide. Oh, okay.
we
Okay.
have
In the next 2 weeks, yeah. All right.
agreement
Mm-hmm.
with a university there.
Oh, okay. In the next 2 weeks, I'll go back to Sydney, Pak Robert.
Okay.
Yes. Inshallah, Pak Robert, is it okay if we still waiting for some more students to
Sure,
come?
sure, sure.
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 All right. How is Ibu Indah, Pak Robert? I miss him. I miss her so much.
She is okay. I mean, sort of, she's doing some errand with her father this morning.
Okay. Yeah. Please extend my warmest regard to Teh Indah.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. Guys, you know, Pak Robert, I just read your bio. I just realized that you um joined C4 in 1999, yeah, Pak Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I joined officially in 1999, but I was working for a joint project with C4 and CIRAD from 1995, in fact, based in Africa, in
Ah,
Gabon.
I see. Oh, so already in CGIAR umbrella. Oh, yeah, Pak
Yeah.
Robert. Yeah, okay. Because it's just the same year I work for C4 after my graduation from IPB, and then guys, students, Pak Robert is my boss. 26 years ago in C4. Yeah, before I joined IPB, I worked for C4, and then Pak Robert was my boss, and now Pak Robert is the Director General of Center for International Forestry Research.
By the
Masya
way,
Yes, Pak.
I will share my presentation, or you want to do
Yes,
it on
yes.
your side? Okay.
Um, is yeah. Which one do you prefer? We can share, or
Prefer to share on my side because then
all
I have
right.
a control to whenever. Let
Okay.
me see. Let's try this thing.
Yeah. Perfect. We can see your presentation, Pak.
You see the slideshow now?
Yes. Can
Okay.
you move to other page, Pak? Let's see. Yeah, yeah. It's moving, Pak. Great.
Okay. Then you tell me
All
when
right.
we start.
Okay. All right, Pak. Uh, can we start by 10, Pak, in next 2 minutes?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Pak Robert. Students, could you please rename your name, yeah, becoming your name and underscore your country of origin. Okay, can you do that, please? So then we know from which country you guys come from. Also to Pak Robert, knowing how diverse you are. Pak Robert, they are most of them are master students and some PhD students and also bachelor students, and they're coming from very diverse discipline, Pak Robert, from economics, environmental sciences, chemistry, political science, education, and even Islamic studies. Yeah,
Well, I
it's
see
quite
that some
diverse.
people are probably coming from computer science because their name is Dell.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Okay. It's already 10. Pak Robert, please allow me to read your short bio. Ya, Pak, ya. Alright. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. Now we are attending a lecture, online lecture from Dr. Robert Nasi. He is the Director General of the Center for International Forestry Research, CIFOR, and also the Director of Science of CIFOR ICRAF. He has chaired the organization's successful 3-year merger process with World Agroforestry or ICRAF and is leveraging their combined expertise to harness the power of trees, forest, and agroforestry landscapes to address the most pressing global challenges of our time. Pak Robert Nasi has been part of the organization for more than 25 years, joining CIFOR in 1999 and holding several research and management positions, including principal scientist, biodiversity program leader, and program director. Dr. Nasi is a leading global expert on forest and advocates for integrating social and biological science for better forest management, more sustainable livelihoods, and improved forest policies. Dr. Robert Nasi, born in 1959 in Nice, France. I don't know how to pronounce Nice or Nice or what, Pak Robert, maybe. Nice. Oh, all right. Yeah. Yeah. He was born in Nice, France, and he was graduated as a forest engineer from the French National Forestry School and earned a doctorate in ecology from the University of Paris Sud Orsay. Since 1982, he has lived and traveled extensively across Africa, Asia, and the Pacific, undertaking research in ecology and tropical forest management. Dr. Nasi is based at CIFOR's headquarters in Bogor, Indonesia. His research interests include the sustainable use of forest products and multiple use tropical forest management. His main disciplines are ecology, botany, biometrics, tropical forest management, and silviculture. He has authored or co-authored more than 300 scientific publications. Wow, that was so impressive, Pak Robert. We're so lucky to have you here today. All right, Pak Robert, it's your time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Melanie. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or I'm not sure where you are exactly, but seems to be all over the world. So, we are going to have a look today at this whole issue of the potential contribution on forestry and agroforestry system to combat the climate crisis. And very brief outline. I mean, we are going to have a very quick overview of the global carbon cycle. Then we are going to look at the core of the presentation, which is the contribution of forest, trees, and agroforestry to combat the climate crisis. And then we will ask ourselves the question, I mean, okay, very nice to have forestry and agroforestry system fighting against the climate crisis, but where will we find the forest and wood resources that we need? And it's not that obvious, in fact. Okay, the global carbon cycle, I mean, sort of, this is a simplified representation, but you see that there is a big emission linked to fossil fuel, coal, oil, and gas. There is a big absorption in the ocean on the right side. And then in the middle, you have what we call generally the land use change sector, or FOLU. And then this sector is a bit peculiar because that's the only sector that is both emitting and potentially sequestering carbon. And so you can see that permafrost, soil, the vegetation, I mean, they are emitting, this is a bit outdated, but 1.2 billion CO2 equivalent ton, but they're also absorbing 3.1. So it's a net sink in the global carbon cycle. And of course, anything that happens to the vegetation, deforestation, fire, and so on, creates an increase in the emission and a decrease in the sink. So that's why it is so important. And here you have a series of graphs that unfortunately show you that we are not on the right direction. Everything is about going up, and it's emission, it's temperature, it's a per capita emission, and the only thing that doesn't go up very much is the land sink. ocean sink is gone. But and so we are, but there's nothing new for you, I guess. I mean, it's sort of in the midst of climate change. It's not something that is going to happen in the future. It's something that is happening now. And if you really see the news, all the flood, drought, and other catastrophe, fire, are much exacerbated by that. If we look at the greenhouse gas emission of the land use sector, I mean, so you can see that it's about 18%. 18, it changed, but to give you another magnitude, I mean, sort of course, energy is still the biggest emission sector, but we know that. If deforestation were a country, that will be the third emitter after China and the United States. So it's a big player. It's important, and as I was saying, the advantage is that if we manage well agriculture, forestry, and land use sector, then we can create carbon sink. Whereas in the energy, our only solution is to consume less fossil fuel, which is something that very few people seem ready to do. Now, what are the resources? So we have about 4 billion hectares of forest left. 45% in the tropical world, 27% in the boreal, 16% in the temperate, and 11%. So this is what is left of the forest, but and from 2001 to 2023, we have lost about 500 million hectares of this forest. And it's continuing, unfortunately. So we have significant resources, but we are also losing these resources. I mean, and that's where we have a problem, effectively. So what could be the contribution of forestry and agroforestry system for the climate crisis? If you look at this framework that has made by the Project Dragon analysis, I really recommend you to have a look at this Dragon group. They are very interesting. And you see that agriculture and land use is both something that can reduce the sources of emission, and it's also something that will support the sinks. And you see that it's a different, it's a big, the size of the circle is the potential, and you see that there is a huge potential. So that shows you the importance of this whole issue of land use and land sinks in the whole picture. And we have some commitment. I mean, sort of in Glasgow, in the COP, I can't remember which number, the leader of the world say, oh, we are going to go to net zero, and we are going to reach net zero greenhouse gas emission by 2050. That's a big thing. And then we also have the 1.5 degree of the Paris Agreement and reducing deforestation and so on. But in practice, I mean, it's sort of, you see that we still have a permanent deforestation linked to commodity, infrastructure, and non-permanent linked to degradation, forest operation, wildfire, pest, and disease. And 2024 has been a very bad year for that. I mean, it's sort of, I mean, a big uptick of deforestation and degradation, and mainly because of wildfire. More than 30 million hectares of cover have been lost in 2024, which is the equivalent of 4.2 billion, 4.2 gigatons of CO2 equivalent linked to deforestation. And then here we have to look at, okay, we say, yeah, we need to reduce deforestation, or we need to stop deforestation. And here it's where that not everything is equal in this world. I mean, sort of, if we take from business as usual, which is on top of the graph on the right side, the result between we stop deforestation or we reduce deforestation, that means that we reduce a little bit, and or we stop tree cover loss, and you see that the main impact in this when you stop completely deforestation. When you reduce, for example, and tree cover loss, it doesn't change much in terms of the global flux. So not all pathways are equal in terms of having an impact on the greenhouse gases emission. And really the one that is the biggest impact is stopping deforestation. Now, what can we do to fix a little bit the issue? First, we have this whole issue of landscape restoration. I mean, we know that we are losing about 12 million hectares of land every year to degradation, and this affects the well-being of 3.2 billion people. And I'm sure that many of you in your country, you have seen the problem linked to degradation and deforestation. And it represents 6.8 trillion in terms of global GDP per land. On the other side, if we invest in restoring this degraded land, we see that there is a net benefit of 0.7 to 9 trillion just by achieving the bond challenge, and we have about $7 to $30 in economic benefit for every dollar invested. So the question is then, if there is so much benefit and to gain in restoration, what is it that we are not doing it? And that's really a question that remains open. Although we have seen an increase on forest and cape restoration, we are not near the amount that is needed to reduce completely these 12 million hectares of land degraded per year. You know, it's a bit like what we are doing now in restoring is not even compensating what we are losing every year. And of course, I mean, a sort of, you have some idea of what we can do in terms of, you see that planted forest and woodlots, they can realize between 4.5 to 50 tons of CO2 per hectare per year. Mangrove, it's up to 23. Natural regeneration. So this is give you a potential for the first 20 years. It shows you that if we are serious in terms of scaling, I mean, that's sort of, we will have an impact. Then other aspects that are important to look at, okay, we need to restore, but we also need to reduce emissions. So we need to avoid deforestation. And this is where it is very important to look not simply at the forest level, but at the jurisdictional approach to the emission. And here you have an example of what is happening in some jurisdiction, and in Indonesia, it's in Kalimantan, but you have places in Brazil, Peru, and in Africa. And you see that we manage to have 6.8 gigatons of CO2 equivalent not emitted, and a stock of 69 gigatons of carbon. And this is because at this jurisdictional level, which is a province, Kabupaten, a region, there has been some decision by the political leaders to avoid emission and to protect. And this is worked at the jurisdictional level. It's not simply worked at the project level. So what you have is a picture of the whole Paraimina or the whole province in Indonesia. So this is something that is important, and this is something that will be important in the context of the Convention on Climate Change because of the Article 6, which is about the compliance mechanism for carbon market. That was mitigation, but also forest, trees agroforestry system have a very strong impact or capacity in adaptation. And then you can see that you can have a trees and agriculture, agroforestry, and then you are reducing the temperature, you are improving nitrogen fixation, you are fixing carbon. There is also an impact in water. I mean, a sort of forests and trees have a very strong impact in water at various scales. At the local scale, they help the infiltration in the soil. At the broader scales, they create rain, or they have a great impact in coastal protection. I mean, during the big tsunami in Indonesia in 2001, the villages that were protected by mangrove were much less affected than the villages that had degraded their mangrove. It has an impact on microclimate. I mean, it's sort of having trees in a city, I mean, can reduce the local temperature by 8 to 10 degrees and then protect against winds. And then, as I said, that it has an impact on regional climate. In fact, forests create rains, and the rain that the Sahel receives in Africa is linked to the existence of the Congo Basin forest. Without the Congo Basin forest, there will be even less rain in the Sahel. And it's the same pattern in the Amazon region for the rice field in Uruguay. If there was no Amazon forest, there would be no rain in Uruguay or Argentina. So there is a very strong role both in mitigation and adaptation. And then, more interestingly, there is this potential of the bioeconomy. I mean, the bioeconomy is the idea that we are now running a fossil fuel-based economy, plastic, fossil fuel, oil, and artificial fertilizer. I mean, so this is mainly based on fossil fuel, but if we wanted to shift to a bio-based economy that is based on renewable, that is based on circularity, then we will save a lot of emission and we will stop extracting non-renewable reserve. And then there is more and more potential offered by the wood in this bioeconomy. There are other things, but for example, mass timber, and you see on the left side is the biggest skyscraper built in timber. It's currently a $2.1 billion market, but expecting to grow to 8.3 by 2030. Then we have wood-based chemicals like nanocellulose and lignin derivative. This is already a $5.2 billion market, going to go to $12.7 billion by 2020. Cellulosic textile, I mean, it's sort of, you can make your shirt or anything based on cotton, or you can use cellulose from trees. It's already a substantial 35 billion market, but it's projected to grow to 70 billion market by 2030. And of course, biomass energy, it's already a $50 million market and projected to go to about 100 billion by 2030. So that you see the huge potential of trees and forests beyond avoided emission and beyond adaptation in terms of contributing product to the bioeconomy and helping reducing the consumption of cement, concrete, or steel that are very carbon-intensive material. That raises, of course, our main question that we will see in terms of, okay, if we have this wood, where is it coming from? But if you needed more reason to see why forests and trees are important, you have a list here of reasons, and you have the links, so you will get the presentation. First, I mean, forests are the most biodiverse terrestrial ecosystem. Then they contribute to food security and nutrition by providing food, energy, income generation, and employment. The contribution due to removal or restoration could be up to 110 gigatons. The only way to currently have a carbon sink is growing forest or growing trees, and all the other direct carbon capture or things are very much untested so far and too expensive. The restoration of degraded forest is still the most economically, environmentally, and socially positive way to remove atmospheric carbon. Forests influence water cycle at all scales, and they remain completely uncharacterized, and so people forget that. And so if we, as I said, want to move from fossil fuel to bio-based economy, we need to have wood playing a major role. And that's where we need to ask ourselves the question, if we need that much forest and trees, and if we have lost about 500 million hectares for the last 25 years, well, where will we find the forest and wood that we need for the future bioeconomy? And that's where we are going to look a little bit at numbers. Since we say that we need a shift from fossil fuel to bio-based economy, we need more forest and trees, and we need a much wiser use of forest and trees that we have. And so what does it mean? Okay, here is the current baseline. In 2020, we think that we have about 8 billion people. In the north, 1.3, in the global south, 6.7. And if you look at the main number, that means that in the global north, everybody is using 1.2 cubic meter of wood per year. And in the global south, everybody is using about 0.4 cubic meter of wood per year, which gives us an average for the world as 0.5. So everybody in this room is using on average per year 0.5 cubic meter. That gives a very easy, so that means that if we have 8 billion people, we need 4 billion cubic meter of wood. Simple. So that's the current situation. And how is it used? I mean, so you see that it's very different. In the global north, it's mostly about wood products, sound timber, wood panel, pulp and paper. In the global south, it's mainly wood energy and a little bit of small industry and other. So it's a totally different use of wood. And here we have in the global north, they use also use wood biomass for energy, but there is an efficiency, the 70 to 90%. In the global south, we have 10 to 20%. That means that we are wasting 80% of the resource. Now, what will be the additional demand in terms of wood by 2050? And if we start by a population in 2050 that will be about 10 billion people, everything being equal, that means using our 0.5 cubic meter equivalent, we will need another 700 million cubic meter additional of wood. But if we move into the bioeconomic transition, then it's more than that. We will need between 1.5 to 2.5 billion cubic meter of wood per year additional compared to what we have now. And this will be driven by construction material, biochemical, bioenergy, and textile, the sector that we have seen. Now, the question is, okay, it's very nice, and where is this going to come from? And here we go back to our data. I mean, we have about 4 billion hectares of forest, 60% is natural forest, 7% is plantation, and out of this, 33% are primary forest. And so, what are the potential sources of additional wood? So we can improve the yield in production forest. So this will be this 15 to 25%. We will need more plantation. Plantation represents 7% of the area of forest that we have now, but they produce about 50% of the fiber. So it's very intensive and it's very productive. We need more plantation. We need to use a tree in agricultural land, agroforestry, and they will probably work 10 to 15% of the demand. We need to use much more efficiently wood biomass or bioenergy, and we can get 20%. And then there is a big question mark. We have a huge area of degraded land, and if we wanted to use this area of degraded land to plant and to create wood resources, then it will be a very good source and very big reason why we could have bioeconomy. But this is something that has the key challenges, because in terms of land availability, the competition with food production, biodiversity protection, so all this is problematic and where there are many risks. And if you look at the risk linked to the increase in wood consumption, you have, of course, the risk of deforestation. People will deforest to have more wood. There is a risk of water pollution because of logging, because of there is a risk of air pollution from wood burning. There is a risk of habitat loss, soil degradation, and then there is some carbon neutrality concern. To cut timber in America and you make wood chip with that and send this wood chip to UK to their biomass drag station. People say it's carbon neutral. No, it's not carbon neutral because you have to transport it and then it emits. So there is not a carbon neutrality. And then there is, of course, land use change, and that's the biggest issue. I mean, it's sort of conversion of land type that will impact ecosystem and food pollution. Now, for example, in New Zealand recently, they forbid the farmer to convert their agricultural land into forest plantation, because plantation are very easy. You plant and you let the tree grow and then you collect the money. Farming requires much work, but you cannot eat yet. So there is a problem. And here is something that was published in 2022. It's the case of clothing. I mean, it's fundamentally what is happening now is that you have people deforesting primary forests to plant fast-growing timber species, and they're using the fast-growing timber species to produce cellulose, and they sell you that as sustainable, more sustainable than cotton. So there are many environmental and social risks, but they have to be taken into. Which means that if we want to move into a bioeconomy, we should have sustainability measures in place, like mandatory certification schemes, enhanced forest monitoring system, biodiversity corridor, sustainable forestry practice, strict no deforestation policy. I mean, we should not use any primary forest or any old secondary forest for that. And say integral protection of the existing primary forest. We should also have some social and economic fairness principle, protecting the rights of indigenous people, having a fair benefit sharing, make sure that local communities are involved, that smallholders are supported. And this can be done by a series of tools: social impact assessment, participatory planning, fair trade certification, and capacity building. That's why I think that there is a need for fair system. And then we can end up with, okay, what sort of policy framework and recommendation we can do for that, or try to implement when. To achieve the potential benefit of wood in the bioeconomy while avoiding the negative impact, we need not 4 but 5 criteria. I mean, as I said, mandatory certification schemes that are more efficient than the one that we have now. Integration of forest carbon into pricing mechanism, something that is growing but not yet completely there. Local recognition of community rights and the capacity for this community to exert the right. Increase the research and development funding for bio-based innovation. I mean, I always use this example. I mean, sort of Japan just sent a satellite made by wood in wood. So there are a lot of things where we can use wood and innovation. And halt deforestation and protect primary forest. So, and that requires putting in place a proper governance system, harmonizing sustainability standards, have the economic instrument for carbon pricing, emit some sustainable forest bond, innovate in efficient processing for research development, waste reduction technology. We are still wasting a huge amount of the wood that we produce. Capacity building and technical assistance program and knowledge transfer. And I think that's it. Yeah, thank you. Any question?
Thank you, Pak Robert. All right. Oh, many students just raise hands. That's very interesting, very insightful presentation, Pak Robert. Thank you so much. Okay, Atar. Atar want to ask some question? Okay, Atar. Atar,
Hello, am I
can
audible?
you do on cam, Atar? We want to see you.
Sorry, I'm not in situation to open my camera. But am I audible? Can I do it without camera? Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you, Doctor, for the thought-provoking presentation. My question is about the wildfire and the reforestation. So how much forest do we lose to wildfire each year, and how can it be mitigated? Because we see the wildfire frequently this year. And the second question is, what is the net target of reforestation to potentially mitigate climate change? Thank you.
Thank you, Atar.
It depends. I mean, it's sort of, I can give you if you want to have a long-term idea on that, you can use the global fire monitoring system. It's online, you can, or you can look at the latest posts that were made by the World Resources Institute. But as I said, in 2024, we lost about 30 million hectares of tree cover, which is not forest only, it's tree cover. So forest, agroforestry, plantation. And we lost a significant amount of forest. So you present 4.2 gigaton of CO2 emission. So that's the impact of wildfire. How do you stop wildfire? It's not an easy question. I mean, it depends very much when we are. Some of the fire, like in the middle of nowhere in Siberia or in Kamchatka or in the northern Canada, they are linked to the forest being weakened by climate change or linked to pest, disease, or tree dying. And then it becomes much more flammable. And then if you have a thunderstorm and if you have a lightning, then the fire starts, and there is not much you can do to stop it because it's far away, so fundamentally burnt until it ends burning. When you have fire like you see in the news in California or in the south of France, it's very much because of human causes. Either it's arson, people put fire as a criminal activity, or it's because someone threw a cigarette butt or made a barbecue and let the barbecue. And then when you see fire in places like in Indonesia or a great part in dry part of Africa, it's very often linked to land clearing. Someone wants to clear his or her own land and start a fire because that's the easiest way to clear the land, and then the fire goes away. So there are many reasons. The main conclusion that you can have about that is that it's much efficient to prevent the fire than to stop the fire when the fire has started. And so that's why we should really move into looking for prevention more than for firefighting. But unfortunately, it's not the case.
Right, prevention. That's the key. Thank you, Pak Robert. Ray, Ray, can you ask Pak Robert directly, or you want me to read your question, Ray? I think better you ask Pak Robert directly, Ray. I'm a bit sick, so I cannot unmute. Okay. Okay, this is a Ray question, Pak Robert. If stopping all forest loss is much better for the climate than just reducing net loss, how can we make sure countries don't use net zero as an excuse to keep cutting down old carbon-rich forests while planting new ones, which is not equally beneficial for the climate?
We can't stop people. That's the problem. I mean,
yes.
And the fact is that even in the Paris Agreement, if you look at the IPCC report, I mean, you will see that the IPCC and the International Panel for Climate Change, which is about produce the Bible on a regular basis, in their scenario, they are counting very much in this land use sink, and they are using this net zero. And that's somewhere problematic. And effectively, a primary forest is not the same as a plantation. So here, the only way that you can do that is if you have a strong legislative or legal framework. For example, in Indonesia, it's forbidden to clear or to establish concession in primary forest. And while it's not working perfectly, it's still working well. That means that you have 66 million hectares that cannot be converted. On the other side of it, there is some land that's been targeted as a production forest that can be converted. So I'm afraid that there is no easy solution besides a strong legal framework at the country level. And people realizing, I mean, and that's an issue of carbon accounting in terms of making sure that we have proper carbon accounting. So that means that you don't account the same way on the carbon stored in primary forest or carbon stored in young planted forest. Although these CO2 equivalent are the same everywhere, they don't represent the same value in terms of biodiversity or resource. But difficult question, and of course, I mean, if we had the answer, we will stop doing it, but we don't.
Yeah, that's yeah, sadly. All right, thank you, Pak Robert. Amado Gisai. Amado, you raise your hand. Yeah, you can
Yeah, good
ask.
morning.
Yeah. Can you on cam, Amado? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. Okay. Just ask. Yeah, good.
Yeah, okay. I just have a quick question with regards to what Prof was explaining about how to protect the forest. In line of the topic, like when you look at ecotourism in relation to forestry, because my question is based on some countries, especially in Africa, which are trying to promote ecotourism. Most of those countries rely on lands that are around the coastal area. And you tend to realize some of these countries, their lands are sometimes covered with forests. And by promoting ecotourism, they might, or they tend to use those lands that are around the coastal area, which are inhabitants of forest trees or trees. By cutting all those trees and giving it to maybe people who want to invest in ecotourism. So, what do you think is the correlation between ecotourism and forests that are around coastal area? Because when you want to promote those ecotourisms, like you have to clear those forests or cut those trees in terms of promoting ecotourism. So, is there any relation between ecotourism and like deforestation by light, either in a negative way or
Well,
positive
no,
way?
I mean, sort of, I'm sorry, but if you claim that you do ecotourism and then you deforest, then you are not doing ecotourism.
Yes.
So,
Again, you say what?
I'm sorry, you have the answer of your own question. I mean, sort of, if you deforest to put a big hotel, it's not ecotourism. If you build a resort without cutting the forest with tree houses, I mean, that's ecotourism.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean, it's sort of tourism has an impact on land use and on deforestation or on degradation, but then it's not ecotourism.
Yeah.
That's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because yes, even me, that's what I think. Because by large, you realize the negative aspect is more than the positive aspect.
Yeah, but
Because
it's not ecotourism, Amadi.
yeah, it's what I mean. I mean, like that's why I said by large.
Maybe just tourism,
I'm
yeah,
just
Amado. Not
yeah.
not ecotourism, but just tourism. That tourism has
tourism.
a relation with deforestation. Maybe that's what you mean.
Yeah, because
That
my point is because in promoting in West Africa, we promote more foreign direct investment. So we invite investors in to promote our tourism. So by promoting the tourism, most of these people uh, tend to focus more on the coastal area because around the
But
coastal
it,
area.
it doesn't, whether it's a coastal area or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you look at a country like Costa Rica, they are promoting tourism and they have increased their forest cover by 50% in the day. So I think it's a matter of your government or whatever government not doing the right thing and offering the land for money or anything to people that will do anything with it, whether coastal or mountain or everywhere. I mean, so this is not ecotourism.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you because I feel like most countries are facing that problem in terms of selling the lands that are around the coastal area just to at least invite investors. But by large, you see like most of those lands that they normally give around the coastal area are covered by a lot of forests or trees. So by cutting that just for the sake of at least promoting tourism, in my view, that's something that is causing more harm to the environment than promoting the interest of one or two investors in terms of building maybe hotels or building parks for tourism purpose or promoting their business idea. Thank you. I agree with you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Amado. Ismail. Ismail, you have two questions. Ismail, you can
Yeah.
ask directly to Pak Robert. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pak Robert, for this wonderful lectures. It's for me like you pointed, rightly, because these are some of the challenges or the things that we're facing, in Africa. Let me just give you an example because I'm from Sierra Leone. Let's say in the past 5-10 years, we've been we have been experiencing, some climate change issue just because of the deforestation that has been taking place with regards to, because there are deals which the government signs with the international communities in terms of like harvesting our timbers. So because of that, there have been a lot of timbers, being removed or taken out of, those rural areas. And because of that, now we are experiencing, those challenges in terms of people able to get the require or the climate that people should experience in terms of doing their agricultural activities. So my question is, looking at these barriers, what the barriers to effective governance, in Africa. So what government should put in place in order to be able to address more of those issues, so that since we still need those kind of data to boost our economy, but at the same time we should also be careful about taking those productive measures so that we can able to balance the climate, as well as also to be able to helping the economy in terms of promoting some of these things. So the other question is about how, because we've been talking about green jobs, and in Africa is that is still we cannot even tap on that. So I was kind of want to know how to this forestry, because we have a huge jump of forest in Africa. So we want to know how can we able to promote green jobs in terms of see how our government to also with the local community to see how best we can able to promote this green job, and also to preserve our forestry so that we can able to live happily. Thank you.
Well, I mean, sort of, you again, I mean, sort of, you have the answer of your question in your question. Sort of, it's a matter of the government doing its job. I mean, so it's a matter of not being corrupt, not trying to enrich themselves by selling the land, or in empowering communities and making sure that there are laws and they are respected. A lot of the countries, they are very good forestry laws, but they are not respected. So I don't have any other solution. I mean, it's a matter of governance, and it's true for forest, and it's true for water resources, it's true for fishing rights, it's true for every use of natural, renewable or not renewable resources. So, and there is no reason why it could not work in Africa like it works in other countries, except the fact that the government, or most of the government, are not up to the challenge. As I said, I mean, it's sort of look at the case of Costa Rica. They had the highest deforestation rate in the world in the 80s. Then they took very drastic decision and they implemented, and now they have almost no deforestation. They have reconstituted their forest area. They have a lot of tourism, and then they still have the standard of living that is above many of African countries. So why is it not possible in a place like Gabon, Cameroon, or I don't know, except that we have to look at how the government, how the local elite, they are using the land for their own profit. It's not that we don't know the solution. That's the problem we have in Minnesota. We know what we should do, but we can't do it if people that have the political or economic power in the country don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Is it okay? Thank you. Okay, I'll take next is Amin Oriakhil. Yeah, Amin. Amin, are you here? Or do you want me to read your question to Pak Robert? Amin?
I can see the
Okay.
question in the chat.
Yeah. Yes, Pak. Oh no. Oh, no. Amin, there you don't have question. Yeah, only thank you to Pak Robert. Okay, Nanda. Nanda?
Yes, Miss.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation, Doctor. I'm really interested in this topic, especially with what's been happening in Indonesia these past few days. And I want to ask about the nickel mining issue in Raja Ampat, which became a hot topic in Indonesia not long ago. And Raja Ampat is known for its amazing biodiversity. And my question is it really possible to do nickel mining there without harming the environment? Or will the damage be hard to fix even with restoration efforts? And also, many people say that mining will increase the country's income, but is that really worth it compared to the environmental damage and the loss of natural resource in the area? I think that's all. Thank you very much.
It's a very important issue. I mean, we have this, what because in Indonesia, nickel, but you have because this lithium in Peru, or we have all these green minerals. I mean, we want to move into electric vehicles. That means you need lithium, you need nickel, you need for the batteries. And so as a result, you see an increase in the price of this mineral, and you see an increase in the mining. And mining, it's whether we like it or not, it's going to stay. I mean, it's not going to disappear because it's a very potentially damaging activity. When you open a nickel mine, it's an open cast mine, so you wipe out a large area of vegetation, and then there is no other way to do it. You cannot do nickel mining using gallery and protecting the vegetation. So the real question here is that is it economically viable to have a nickel mine in Raja Ampat, in a small island, where in fact the mining company makes a profit, but overall the country probably lose because of the economic value on tourism and something like that. So that's a decision by the government. I allow you to do it or not. And then the other one is sort of, if you do mining in this very sensitive area, then you have to use specific technique to avoid that the reef is polluted, to avoid that water is polluted. And what's happening now is that unfortunately, people are not following the highest environmental or social standard, and it's a result of money, greed. If you want to do it properly, it costs you more than if you do it and throw your waste into the sea and something like that. So that's the whole issue again in terms of the owner, in this case the government, putting the proper guideline in terms of environment, in terms of less degradation, in terms of restoration, in terms of making sure that the water of the local people is not contaminated, making sure that the fish stock, and imposing that to the mining sector. Unfortunately, when you have the people, the mining sector players that are the same that in the government, it makes the thing a bit difficult, there is a lot of vested interest in that. And it was the case in coal in Indonesia, it's now the case in nickel, and it's the case in many places. So I think mining is here to stay. It's an activity that is, by essence, unfortunately, damaging the environment, but it can be done in a much better way so that the environment can be restored and the damage can be minimized.
Yeah, and always the main issue in Indonesia is the rule of law. Yeah, Pak Robert.
Yeah, and the fact that you cannot be judge and party. I mean, if you are coal tycoon, you should not be a minister that manage coal resources in Indonesia.
Yeah. That's so complicated. Yeah. Sorry, Pak Robert. This is the question from Amin. I have two questions. The first one is how can agroforestry system help reduce greenhouse gas emissions more effectively rather than conventional farming? And the second question is what role the communities can play in preventing forest fires, which recently happens, and how dangerous these fires can be for the future of the forest. I think it's related to the previous question. Yes, Pak
I
Robert.
think for the fire, I've already answered
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
In terms of
Right.
agroforestry, it's rather simple. And sort of, if you have a field of, let's say, rice paddy or wheat, this store a certain amount of carbon, but not much because. But if you have trees in the landscape, then of course you mechanically increase the storage of carbon because trees store carbon more than grasses. And then also you have some beneficial impact, like if you are in the Sahel, if you put Federbia albida, then you have a nitrogen fixing trees, it produces fodder for the livestock, it produces shade. If you put baobab, they also store water, they produce fruits, flower that can be used for food. So the advantage of agroforestry is you create something that is more diversified with organisms like trees that store more carbon than grasses or usual crops, and at the same time bring additional benefits like fruits, shade, wood. So that's how agroforestry, well done, help in terms of climate change mitigation or adaptation.
Yeah. Okay, maybe just one more last question. Is it okay, Pak?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, Zada. Zada?
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Good morning, Professor Robes Nasi. My question is very simple and straightforward and direct and short, concise. I would like to ask if we want to go hand in hand with ecotourism, how we can still preserve our forest. Because if you go for the tourism and you applying this strategy, you will have to cut the forest to make roads, to make construction, to make logistical access to the forest. And also, when you go there, you have to go with some things, the food
Well, the same question that
items,
you
some
yeah.
people live.
Sorry, we are losing you a little bit, but that's a bit of the same question your colleague asked first. I mean, so,
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. Maybe Brima.
Yeah.
What's the process? Yeah, Brima.
Okay. My question is concerning the policy frameworks, especially the mandatory certification. Like we have seen in places where certifications are given to the wrong people due to nepotism or ignorance. And that is why I'm asking this question. What is the process for maintaining a professional environmental certification?
The problem we have now with certification, I mean, first, let's be clear, a sort of forest that is certified using FSC or PEFC, it's generally better managed than the forest that is not certified.
Okay.
We have, but it's a problem, and it's not simply about certification of forest, but also for carbon. The problem is when you have the people that are certifying the forest are paid by the people that are managing the forest, and that's what is happening. So, although we claim that we have a third-party certification, a logging company will be the one paying the auditors that will be auditing the company. And of course, if I pay you, I have control on you. So you are not completely independent. And so
Okay.
that's one element in the, and it's true in the carbon market and in many of these things where they use this third-party certificate, third-party auditor. We need to have really an independent third-party certification. And we need also to improve some of the standards so that they take into account better biodiversity, they take into account better local people. And so that's mostly that. And then, of course, that they are implemented. I mean, some countries have decided, like Bolivia or Gabon, say, okay, if you want to harvest forest in Gabon, you have to be FSC certified or you have to be a PSC certified. So that becomes something that is not simply a voluntary certification, it becomes a compliance mechanism. And that's also something.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brima and Dot. Okay, Pak Robert, one student just want to share insight regarding to this topic. Is it okay, Pak Robert? Dr. Phillips?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Robert Nasi and other participants. Actually, I just want to share something regarding to this topic because it's really related with my recent paper, which I liked it and I'm presenting somewhere. In this paper, in my paper, it was regarding to the effect of what we call it, greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide. And in our finding, we found that the most of the causes or factors of greenhouse emission was influenced by socioeconomics and also influenced by agriculture and also influenced by what we call industrial activities. And in case of Indonesia, we found that most of the factors is based on the palm oil plantation and also is based on the expansion of towns and cities. So, and also local community, they also contribute to the rise of this greenhouse carbon in case of air pollution by using slash and burn traditional way of cleaning the land. So according to our finding, we found that the only solution to reduce this kind of destruction or emission was to using advancing technology. Like now, there is a use of, you can use a satellite as a way of detecting the real time of the burning areas. And also we found that we can educate the local community. Instead of using slash and burn, they can use other ways to mitigate or to use the land friendly without destroy or destruct or degrade the land directly. So this is a kind of the insight I want to share about regarding to your topic today. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's totally correct. I mean, it's sort of,
Yeah.
these are ways, but again, I mean, it's sort of all this works if people that are supposed to implement that are implementing it properly. That's what I was saying. I mean, our problem is not that we don't have the solution. We know what we should do. We have the tools to do it, satellite or thing. We have the people to do it. The question is when personal or economic interests make you decide that you know what you do, but you will make more money doing something else, and though you do something else. Or you know what to do, but because you are not powerful and you have a powerful person that comes, then you are. So that ultimately, I think our problem is not a problem of technology. I think the problem of people, and that makes it difficult.
Yeah. Doctor, did you put also governance indicators for in your research, like rule of law or something like control of corruption?
Well, maybe I can state my title of my research. My title was about institutionalized environmental peace building, legal political collaboration between Indonesia and Japan in peatland restoration and ANZE governance. So the major issue the gap I was looking for is the failure of the government to support or to mitigate this problem of air pollution, especially in Kalimantan and Riau. I think in Sumatra. So it was a part of my research, and I'm still working on it because I'm just 2 weeks ago I presented in Japan.
Oh, okay, good. Congratulations. Yeah.
Which
Right.
university in Japan?
Kyushu University.
Kyushu. Oh,
Kyushu.
we have an agreement with Kyushu. I mean,
Oh,
Professor. What is his name? Takashima is a good friend. I was in Kyushu last year. So good luck.
yeah. Good luck, Doctor. Thank you so much for for sharing your research to us. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Pak Robert.
You're
Thank you
welcome,
for
Melanie.
your huge contribution to this summer course, and hopefully next year you still want to contribute again, and hopefully offline ya Pak Robert ya.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah.
Okay, everybody,
Okay.
let's
Take care,
yep.
everybody. Be safe.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pak Robert.
Bye, Melanie.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor Robert.